What is up, everybody? Franco here with Frank Analysis, and I am joined by a full house here today. Very intelligent gentleman. I'm joined by D. Pierce SSC, host of his own channel by the same name, Jeff Melton of The Bitter Pill, Israel S. Daly of Big Talk, Little Talk, and Charles Anderson with the new show name called The Lone Wolf Podcast. It's great to have all of you on here today. Let's say we had Joe Biden as president. Will he last 4 years? After those 4 years, will we get a progressive candidate, or will we get a hardcore Republican, more right-leaning than Donald Trump? What will it be?
I don't have much to say on this topic, but I am scared that America will keep bouncing back and forth between neoliberalism and kind of what I see as like this destructive to humans, but also the environment, kind of right-wing ideology of free market fundamentalism where the rich rule us. So if we keep bouncing between that and not the American left, because this isn't left, but just kind of Democratic Party corporatism, I fear for the future of this planet.
This isn't left?
Well, I mean, like the Joe Biden, kind of Obama, Clinton, kind of like the American left. It's tough because we have like these labels to deal with.
There's no like monolith. There's no monolith global left, right? Everything is a variant.
I mean, that's a different discussion. Whether there is like a global left, I think that there's an interesting discussion to be had there. But
this is just our left. This is our left.
What I consider the American kind of democratic neoliberal movement that people call the left, I don't really see it as leftist. But that getting aside from my point, what I'm saying is if we keep bouncing between that and what I see the Republican Party as, I mean, I think the Republican Party is the most destructive entity on the planet, and I give the Democratic Party just as much shit as that destructive element because their failure of providing a strong contrast to the destruction that party, the Republican Party, is wreaking on the planet and other nations is unfortunate. So yeah, if we keep bouncing between like kind of Biden and I guess you would say Romney types, the human species, we're looking forward to a very negative future. So that's pretty much all I have to say. Sorry if that didn't answer your question exactly, but yeah, if we have a Biden, we might just get another Romney, then we'll get another Biden, then we'll get another Romney, and that spells that spells defeat for the species.
Yeah, I think that people here are undermining the virility of this movement, this awakening. We're almost selling it short. Saying, oh, well, they're just going to fall for the Democratic corporatist puppet, whoever that might be, if it's Biden or whatever. I think we're actually doing them a disservice by automatically already, not even Biden being in the office right now, but saying that, well, we're already expecting them to kind of cop out and sell out as Americans who are participating in this kind of movement. It's actually a shame because, you're not really giving them the credit that they deserve. These people are getting kicked out of their homes. COVID ruined the economy. So they are aware. People are starting to get there. So if anything, we don't need to, automatically capitulate and say they're going to capitulate. We're already capitulating to the idea that they're going to capitulate rather than proactively engaging and saying, let's capitalize on this, I know we're not capitalists and we hate the capitalization, but that's something that you need to implement in this and say, okay, how can we do this? How can we grow it? Yes, the liberals are kind of taking the narrative away from us right now. It's a tug of war between progressives and their allies and the liberals. So I think that should be the center focus. It doesn't matter. Who cares? Electoral politics. If it's Trump, if it's Joe Biden, at the end of the day, people are going to be evicted. This seems to be your leftist narrative of everybody here. So why not say, okay, instead of like focusing in on, oh yeah, well, when Biden comes in, everybody's just going to go to sleep. Okay, no. It's how can I still move my narrative forward? How can I still say we need to continue this BLM thing, even though, look, I'm kind of right-wing, so I don't even want the BLM thing. I have huge issues with the BLM thing. But, why isn't that the narrative? Whoever wants to, why isn't that the, why is it always just like this? Oh, well, they're just gonna fall back to sleep.
Yeah, I think we have to kind of put things in historical perspective here and remember that, okay, Franklin Roosevelt, when he came into office, he was a member of and represented the interests of the ruling class. He wasn't, he was not that different politically from your typical DNC or DLC types now. But people were fucking rioting in the streets. You had people occupying factories. You had people refusing to be evicted from their homes, and that changed everything. And basically, Roosevelt explicitly said, "I am trying to save capitalism from itself. We're going to have a revolution if we don't take some drastic action here." And I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know where this is all going to go, but we could be talking about something potentially on that scale because of, look at all that's going on. As Israel said, you've got people on the verge of being kicked out of their homes en masse. We've got mass unemployment. We've got the pandemic. We've got all this violence from the police. It's a tinderbox, and it could very well blow up. And that, if that happens, it won't matter who's president.
No, and one thing that I will say there is, to directly to your question, and I'll respond to some of the other things that have been said here. Will we make it through 4 years of Joe Biden, and would it be Joe Biden or would it be his replacement and all that? Well, assuming that rigor mortis has not completely set in on Joe Biden by the end of his 4 years. Okay, I don't know if the guy is going to run for re-election or not. I've kind of made my prediction on who I think his VP pick is going to be. I think it's going to be Biden-Harris. So we'll see what happens there. Again, here's going to be the thing. When we made the comparison that FDR just now represented a ruling class. Looking at the history of the Democratic Party back to the time of FDR, I don't know about that. The Republican Party's kind of always had that reputation of being a party of the fat cats, okay? With the exception of Teddy Roosevelt. Now, notice that has the same last name as FDR, right? Roosevelt. So the Roosevelts clearly had a feeling of patriotism for the country and wanted to do the right thing for the country. That's why when Teddy's successor, decided that he was going to be a sellout, Teddy then tried to run again and try to take everything back over and say, okay, maybe I made a mistake. Let me run again and try to fix this. But the Democrats didn't become modern Democrats until around the time of Reagan. And I just saw where he said, Republicans abolished slavery, Democrats pushed Jim Crow. That's absolutely true. Okay, they did do that. That's where the difference in the Democrat Party is. The Democrat Party didn't become the more progressive on social issues until JFK really, maybe starting with FDR, but JFK really got the ball rolling. I've made this point on the Friday night show multiple times. Where do you think the Dixiecrats got their name from? Here's what you've got to remember when we talk about they're representing the ruling class. The Democrats back in those days held the South. Republicans held the North. Okay? Where has a lot of the money and the business and all that been located ever since almost the founding of this country post-Revolutionary War? The North. That's why they had more supplies. That's why they had more money during the Civil War. We were the old poor farmers down here in the South. Okay? So the power has always been up there. So considering that structure, where the Democrats held the South and the Republicans are the North, I don't know that they represent the ruling class because Wall Street is up north.
I guess, Charles, but they're both corporations that are both fucking us right now.
No, don't get me wrong, without a doubt. No,
I think drawing these
the Democrats today are absolutely right, and I wanted to address your point there that you brought up, Pierce, because this is something that I've been saying. If Joe Biden gets elected, and I don't know that it'll be another Romney, here's where I'm going to differ from you. I think that the Republicans have figured out where their bread is buttered, and that's with a Donald Trump, not a Mitt Romney. Okay,
Mitt Romney, Nikki Haley
all out the support that Donald Trump is drawing out.
I hope it's Haley versus Tulsi Gabbard. That'd be awesome.
This election, that the left is going to just, the people who wanted the Bernies are going to get completely squashed, because that whole
Bernie sucks. We already learned that this cycle. Bernie sucks.
Well, yeah, I'm not supporting Bernie. I'm just saying the people that kind of wanted what they thought Bernie stood for. The same thing can be said for the Tulsi supporter. I think it's going to get squashed, and here's why, okay?
Go for it.
That whole mainstream media narrative that this corporate candidate was the way to go will be proven correct, right? Because Trump's going to be beaten. So what's the case for your other candidate that's not corporate? They beat Donald Trump. That was the big evil boogeyman. We got rid of him. So they're going to kind of just die the left back down. Trump's gone. Biden's elected. We told you so. Shut up and fall back in line. Not everyone will, but arguably it's going to hurt the message that we need to get rid of these corporate candidates if he wins. Here's the downside to that, okay? On the Donald Trump side, there's just as many Donald Trump supporters who love that man and love the ground he walks on. They don't want Joe Biden, and when he gets elected, they're going to have unfinished business. What worries me is the violence we see right now, the protests we see right now, the civil unrest we have right now in about 4 to 8 years. I would put it no longer than 16 years away. We'll rear it dead, but it'll come back stronger. Because what worries me is all the stereotypes they've labeled Donald Trump with. I'm afraid that the Donald Trump 2.0 could come from the South. Now, you take someone that's got this twang to his voice, talks like Donald Trump with the rhetoric, but sounds like me with this country-ass accent. Now let's just turn racism up times 10.
So I do.
Everything's going to be stuck on a cycle. So I think you're correct. I'm just worried that it could be a lot worse than it admit wrong.
So I know Israel's itching for a response. So I do want to leave some time for the after show, so that we can discuss a couple things. But Israel, I can let you say, since you haven't spoken in a while, you can say the last thing, and then I'll say the last thing that I want to say before closing.
All right. So the only thing that I take contention with Charles is to say that, look, the reason that Bernie Sanders emerged from a oligarch austerity time period with Obama is because of that. Because the American people need to see, my dudes, they need to see with their own eyes what austerity brings with these liberal, corporatist establishment Democrats. They need to feel it. It needs to be experienced. When you deny them that experience and you give them your opposition for 4 years, 8 years, and actively advocate for it when they're trying to put in a Biden type, they're going to resent you. That's all you're going to get from them is resentment. And then you're not allowing them to experience that because you're saying, let them experience Trump. Well, what happens when they experience Trump is you get Biden or something similar to that. What happens when we experienced 8 years of Obama? We got the rising sentiment of a Bernie Sanders movement. And sure, you guys are all canceling them because it's a firing circle squad with you guys on the left. But, let me finish my point. Thank you for, circular firing squad on the left. But even despite those, really negative aspects of it, you still get your Bernie Sanders surge because they see what an Obama type stabbed in the back looks like, right? But if you just give them Trump or something like that on the opposition, then they're going to want to go towards a Biden or something like that. Because leftism and that populism only arises when people experience the Obama, the Clinton era, the Bush era, this kind of austerity measure. That's when the populist left shines. Is because they're not only are the Democrats in power and you have that audience, you have that Democratic constituency to take from and say, boom, I'm pitching you this type. Yes, Bernie was a fake. Oh my God, Bernie was fake. But he was pitching what you guys enjoyed. I mean, the Jimmies and all them, they were following with the rest of the sheeps towards Bernie's, slaughterhouse, just like everybody else was. But guess what? That sentiment rose. That sentiment rose. So my argument, look, just to simplify it, is that when Biden gets in office, there's more of a likelihood that a Bernie-style fervor develops again on the left. So you get a Trump from the left. I'd rather have a Trump from the left rise up than what Charles articulated, which is a Trump from the right that's worse and probably more like racist or whatever.
Well, the difference, though, is going to be we saw Bernie pop up after 8 years of Obama, but he didn't win in 2016 and he didn't win now.
That's his fault, though. That's his fault.
I understand. But the point is, who are these people tuning into for the news? CNN. And so when Joe Biden wins, yes, there may be another Bernie Sanders pop up, but they're going to go right to him and say, you've tried this once before and it did not work. Our method is proven and true, and they're going to fall in line. Not everyone, but a lot of those swing voters will say, well, you know, they were right. They said Joe Biden was the safe option the last time around. They were correct. He beat Donald Trump. Maybe we should just keep listening to him. I won't disagree with you. Another Bernie won't rear his head at some point because of Joe Biden. Yes, he will. But the problem is history is going to be now on the mainstream media side to say, this isn't who you want. Joe Biden beat the man you hated. Listen to us. We know best because we're the experts.
All right,
It wasn't on Hillary's side. It wasn't on Hillary's side after Obama. It wasn't on Hillary's side.
I do want to express like my thoughts on this issue because I haven't yet done so. I want to ask you guys, we love talking about politics and about what's happening in the world. How many people have you influenced and raised their conscious and awareness about what's happening in the world? So this, and think about when you got informed, who you heard that from. If you guys, the viewers and you guys here, my guests, I encourage you guys to check out this book called The Religion of Tomorrow. It talks about evolutionary psychology. It talks about, going back to the beginning of human civilization, how we, and even before that, when we were hunters and gatherers, how we evolved psychologically. We reach a certain point when 1% of a population develops a certain awakening, they realize something, and then they spread that message to other people. Eventually that 1% of the population reaches 10%, and then it explodes exponentially because everybody starts spreading that message, and then as a society, everybody's mentality changes, it evolves. So right now, I think we are seeing, we're probably past 1% of the population is now at the next level of psychological evolution. And I think that in a matter of 10 years, that's going to spread exponentially. The people that you guys inform on your channels and outside of your channels, they're gonna spread that message to other people. Just like we got that message from like the Jimmy Dores and the Kyle Kalinskis. That's gonna continue to spread. That's not gonna stop. So I do think that whether it be after Joe or Trump or whatever, we will get a progressive candidate, or we will see an uprising of a people's movement happen. That's it. That is if we don't kill ourselves with an environmental catastrophe or a nuclear warfare. I'll leave it at that. I do want to continue this conversation with you guys because I think there's a lot that is left unsaid. So the viewers, if you are not yet subscribed to my channel or any of these guys' channels, subscribe right now. We're going to be on Big Talk, Little Talk tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Make sure you're there so you can listen to what we have to say. So thank you guys so much for watching. I thank my guests here for providing a lot of insight. And don't forget to stay informed. Have a great day. Thanks for watching that segment of Hear Me Out. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell down below so you can get the latest on sports, pop culture, and progressive politics. Stay informed.